Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Round 4 of the U.S. Women's Chess Championship is currently being played simultaneously at the same location in St. Louis with the U.S. Championship, and that's an open tournament. This is an interesting game between two really good female players. As white, Alyssa Melekina. Alyssa is on the cover of Chess Life magazine this month in April. Oh, really accomplished woman. Ballerina, dancer, law degree, has a couple of startup companies. She's working, I think it's in New York, for a big law firm. Top female chess player in the U.S. Boy, I'll tell you, that's a lot. Good for her. And as black is Katerina Nemcova, who goes to Webster University, which is in the St. Louis area as well. A top female player. She's playing really well in this tournament. Anyway, folks, let's get to it. It's going to be a Sicilian, a C3 Sicilian, which is, if any of you watch YouTube, Alyssa has some C3 Sicilian videos on YouTube and other places. Melekina is white, Nemcova is black. We'll go through it a little bit here. It's going to be a C3 Sicilian. Of course, you see the C3 there, which marks that. Usually you don't see that. Knight C4, knight, queen, knight takes, pawn takes, D5, you're going to get your piece back. Queen moves, pawn takes, bishop takes. Pretty much standard stuff. That pawn's a little far advanced for white, though. It's got a third of a pawn advantage for white. That's probably the reason, plus the fact she has one more minor piece developed and she's ready to castle. Katerina decides to go queen to a5, go after the pawn. White just castles. Bishop b7. Black's getting ready to castle. Bishop d2. Put another piece to guard that pawn. Bishop d7. This game is going to be a classic example of, I'm not going to say what side did it, where you're really playing well and you have an overbearing position and you're really going to win. And then you just let up just a little bit. It's the old saying, it's the toughest thing to win is a one game. And sometimes people in the heat of battle, especially in chess, are trying so hard when they see they're actually winning and gonna win, that they sigh and they kind of let down their guard a little bit and let the other player in. This is what happens here. Bishop d3 by Alyssa, rook c8 by Katerina. Rook a to b1 is a choice for the computer. She decides to go a4 instead. Queen c7, queen comes back. There's really no point in that queen being out there anymore. Hitting the e5 pawn. Queen to e4, get your queen centralized where it can't be harassed. Interesting move here, and it's also the computer's first choice. Knight to a5. Probably looking to set the knight on c5 here. I think would be a good goal. Queen to g4. Now it stops black from castling. If black castles, bishop comes here, and you're going to lose the exchange at minimum. G6 is the computer's choice, with king to f8 a close second. She decides to go king to f8. Now, I always hate that, because it's going to take forever to get your rook out. But you do what you got to do. Rook a to d1. Knight c4, which you wanted for that knight anyway. Bishop g5. Bishop takes, queen takes. Now the knight goes to b2. And now what's going to happen is you're going to get a knight for a bishop automatically. Not as good would have been bishop takes the pawn after bishop takes, rook takes, and it's a nice advantage for white. Now you can see why the queen won't take in this scenario. So what will happen is rook will check, rook takes, queen mates. So that free pawn wasn't so free. Rook to d2, of course. Knight takes, rook takes. Now the bishop takes the pawn. A little bit different this time. Rook to d4. Black's up a pawn with a tiny advantage. Not much of one. less than a quarter pawn, according to the computer. Let's stop for a minute and take a look at this position, and it's a good time in the game, I think, to do that. We're late in the middle game, move 24. Stop the video. I like to do this sometimes, tell the people who are watching the video, stop the video now and see what would you do to move or formulate a plan for either side. That's the thing I struggle with the most, to be honest with you. H6 just kicks the queen. Queen comes back. Bishop to E8. Now that's an interesting move, and it's also the computer's move. Rook G4. Rook over C4. Now that's a real pain in the behind. Not castling and have that rook stuck. But you got to do what you got to do. You got to make the best of it. She had to do it from before, so you're just going to have to work through it. F5. Interesting move, and it's also the computer's move. I think 90% of us would have went on G6, which would really not have worked out. After F5, what do you do here? Can't take, because the queen trade. You take queen here, and that's good for black. So she goes rook D4, leaves that pawn there. G5, and you're going to see that white's queen gets in a hell of a spot. H4, queen G7, doesn't take, and of course white's not real keen on taking either. And this is where she stumbles. H takes G5 is the computer suggestion, and I agree. She goes queen to H2, and like, oh, crap. Watch what happens. G4, the knight has to move, and now she goes G3. She has to take, or excuse me, move the queen. Rook D8. And this is just horrible. Knight F3. Rook takes. Knight takes. Rook G4. Now look at that queen. Gotta be kidding, right? Oh, that's horrible. That black queen is just trapped in there. So for a while, she's going to be a queen down for all intents and purposes. Knight to F3. I mean, look at those. Looks like a postage stamp in the corner here. White's pieces. Bishop C6. It's almost a 3.5 point advantage now for black. I mean, you're going to be down a queen for a while. Pawn takes finally. Queen checks. King goes over. Now this is the move that you'll see in the post-mortem at the end. She really questioned this move, Nemcova. You take that knight and pawn takes. You freed yourself. Absolutely freed yourself. Yeah, she loses the pawn, but it's worth getting the queen now. Queen to G2. Now here we go. You had her. Shouldn't have taken. Let's go back here. Computer really likes A5. Just start pushing that A pawn. But that's not what happened. Queen to G2. Now you're going to have to play it out. Rook C2. Queen G1. Go through this a little quickly here. These rook pawn endings are notorious for taking forever. She's got two passed pawns. She's just going to start nursing those. Rook C6. Pawn. Take. B4. Here it comes. B3. King. Start going after his pawns and her pawns as well. B2. Rook has to go to B1. Rook B4. It's over. We'll just go through the final moves here. King comes back. King G6. Rook. Queen. Takes. And it's over. And that's where Alyssa Melekina resigns. Obviously, white has to stop the A pawn, and the black king picks up the white pawn on e5 and promotes the other one. So you have him on the hook. You have him by the throat. Just don't let up. Anyway, folks, that was a really interesting game from the Women's U.S. Chess Championship 2015, round 4. I hope you enjoyed it. Small postmortem with Katerina Nemcova at the end. And as I always say in all my videos, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.
With the leader in the Women's Championships, Katerina Nemcova. Katerina, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Katerina, you played such dominant chess today. I mean, you have just been in fine form. Do you feel like really confident as you're at the board?
Well, I try to be confident because, I mean, this game she was attacking me so much, so I try to, to arrange something on the queen side, and I try to appear confident more than I was.
Now, she indeed was looking to make your king seem like a bad piece when sitting on f8. She played very aggressively right out of the opening. Were you worried about this position at any point, that maybe you were worse, or did you feel like you were always
Yes,
okay?
I think that when she captured with queen on g5, if she captures with knight, I think I'm in trouble. So,
really?
Yes.
Well, we didn't look at that position. Maybe we can pull that up on the big board. Let's see. Right here, bishop takes g5.
Yeah, knight takes g5.
Knight takes g5. Well, the engine's not giving you too much trouble after knight takes e5. What was your thought here? Did you think she just had compensation? Or maybe you were just...
Yeah.
Maybe you saw...
Oh, yeah, queen f4.
Queen f4.
Queen f4. I wasn't sure what to do here.
And h6 looks like the move could be played. Seems like you're just hanging on according to the engines. Maybe you saw one of those.
Maybe move earlier. I think somewhere she was better, I think.
Okay. Well, we didn't see anything for her exactly. It just looked like
okay.
there was always a play for you in compensation. But you have to tell us, what were you thinking in this moment in the game after you played these fine moves to attack her? You stormed down the board with g4, and especially after knight e1, this really beautiful g3, and you got to this position right here, and we were screaming. You played bishop takes f3. Why did you do that?
That was just a horrible move. I mean, I thought that maybe she can play knight g5 at some point, and I won't be able to capture the pawn back. And then, there is a pin, so the rook is hanging, so I thought maybe this knight can be annoying at some point. But, I mean, I can play just king e7, I'm just fine. I mean, horrible move. Bishop takes f7, bishop takes f3.
And after this happened, and you started looking at your position, did you feel like...
Yeah, I wanted to punch myself,
So you were not happy, but you settled yourself down, and then you started to bring the game back and get an endgame that looks like you were always much better.
Yeah, I thought the rook endgame is winning, but... I mean, rook endgame, anything can happen. And I wanted to exchange the queens because if I keep them on the board, then my king can be very weak. So I better went to the rook endgame, but I wasn't 100% sure that it's winning.
Well, you did convert it. Now you're sitting in first place of the Ladies' Championship after 4 rounds. How does that feel?
Good. It feels good.
And what are you thinking of your chances for the rest of this tournament?
It's still many rounds, so I don't look at this way. But I mean, I won twice with black, which is amazing. So I'm happy about that.
And tomorrow you play. You don't know. That's the funny part. The players don't know who they play the next round. It's always one game at a time.
There's the thing. I just focus at one game. Why to spend energy on looking at games in the next round. I mean, I just focus on one game, and when that is finished, I can focus on next game.
Well, we appreciate that, absolutely, and how well you're doing. We hope you continue the rest of your games.
Thank you.
Katerina Nemcova leading the tournament with some really powerful play, except for one really bad move.